with one or two of the kids, you need, number one, to have unabridged birth certificates if you are South African. I don't know if there's people who still have the old birth certificates, and I say old because I think from like 6-7 years ago they started anyway printing out just unabridged birth certificates. But the unabridged birth certificates have the names and ID numbers of both parents. So South Africa will allow you to travel within the country with just any other birth certificates, but to leave the country you need the unabridged birth certificate. So make sure that you have that. Secondly, if you are traveling without the biological parent of the kids or the other biological parent of the kids, you need consent from the other parent, whether married to that parent or not. Passport control. In fact, even at the boarding desk or at the check-in counter, they will not allow you to even go any further. They won't even check you in without that consent form. Now, you can decide as to whether you want to make it an affidavit. If you decide to make it an affidavit, number one, the parents that is traveling cannot make that affidavit. It needs to be done by the biological parent that is not traveling. So if, for example, you are the mother, then the father needs to go to the police station and obtain that affidavit, which gives you consent to travel, and it must have dates and names of kids and ID numbers, and it must say that it's giving you consent and your names and your ID number, the country that you're traveling to, whatever, as much detail as you can provide, because passport control will humble you. So that's number one. If you want to go, I personally prefer to use the consent form. You get the consent form from Home Affairs. Literally, it's a form that you get there, and then, but again, it must be the parents that is not traveling that completes those forms and gives you consent, the one that is traveling. Again, perhaps this is it needs a separate video on its own in terms of what you need to know when traveling with kids internationally, but just as an FYI, you need to have consent, otherwise that trip is botched and there's a lot to lose. I mean, you've already paid so much money in advance, and even at the airport, if you are there and you miss that flight, listen, trying to get your money back is another story. And it's not like traveling within the country where you might lose 800 rands or 1,000 rands or whatever, but it's a lot of money to lose on international flights on just not having documents. So it's better to be prepared than to be sorry. And then the other thing that I wanted to touch on regarding money and foreign currency, like I've heard many people talk about the fact that when they travel abroad, they go and get their monies exchanged for dollars. I hear a lot of people say that. I don't know why people do say that or why they do that. But if you do and you are a frequent traveler, please feel free to educate me. I personally, in all the times that I've traveled, have never had my money converted or exchanged for dollars. And the reason for that, for me personally, is number one, then you will be carrying a lot of cash on you. And if by chance you get mugged or you lose that money, you've lost all your money or all your savings in one go. Whereas it's unlikely that you would use money that is in your bank account. So I personally would just swipe or withdraw. That's number one. Secondly, think about it this way. If you were somebody that was traveling, say, from a different country and you're coming to South Africa, and as a South African, if somebody comes in and wants to buy something from you or from a shop and they have dollars, will that person or that shop owner be able to give them change back in dollars? Ordinary South Africans don't have dollars on them to give people as change when they buy things. Say, for example, they landed at the airport and they took an Uber to wherever their accommodation was. On the day before, not on the day, actually, what I forgot to say about the month before you travel, just try and start doing your shopping bit by bit so that things are not rushed and you are not trying to pack things or look for things that you can't find and it's rushed. So start buying what you need to buy. If you need extra bikinis and you need whatever, try and do it before then. The other thing that I also forgot to mention is if you are on prescription medication, I would highly suggest that you get your prescription from your doctor and you get your medication that you need. You take your prescription and you tape it around the medication that you are taking with you, because different countries have different laws regarding what medication they allow in, and not just the medication that they allow in, but also what you can get over the counter and what you can't get over the counter. So depending on the country that you're going to, they might be very sticky and fussy about what you're bringing in. But if you've got a doctor's prescription, then it just makes life a lot easier. It doesn't matter what it is, even if it's like hypertension medication or whatever, but just to avoid any hassles. Even if it's medication that in South Africa you don't need a prescription for, but in another country you don't know if they need prescriptions for that. So just to be safe, get a prescription and just tape it around your medication or keep it on you safely, so that if anybody wants to ask you anything, then you can show them that it's legal drugs, and yeah, and life is smooth. So on the day of the travel, I personally love traveling comfortably. In fact, like if I could travel in my pajamas, I would go anyway in my pajamas. And especially if I am traveling a 9-hour journey or a 23-hour journey, I want to be as comfortable as I can. So I will wear leggings and very comfortable shoes. And if it's a hot day, have socks on you, and try and be as comfortable as you can. Like I don't wear wigs or makeup or anything like that when I travel. I really, and if I'm traveling with kids, like I will be as relaxed as I can. I will find my oldest, most loose bra just so I am not uncomfortable. If I had a sleeping bra, I would wear my sleeping bra just so I am as comfortable as I can be. So I know that obviously different people have different preferences regarding travel, but all I'm just saying is just be comfortable. And the other thing is on the day of the travel, be very, very early. If you are used to traveling on domestic airlines, you know that you can literally get there an hour before and you'll still be fine. But boarding opens 3 hours, at least 3 hours before on international flights. And the processes are also quite lengthy. Like they will ask for this and they will ask for that. And a lot of the time also, they tend to just, without warning, just change the flight times and bring it forward. And if you're late, then you'll miss the flight. So it's better to just be extra early so that you don't miss anything or that you're not rushed. And then sometimes there's long queues as well at passport control, because they're not only just attending to you, obviously they're attending to many other people, and just try and be early. Another tip, I know that, or I've noticed that many people don't know this, because I watch this all the time when you're standing in the queue at passport control and people just throwing away things. If you want to carry on liquids like your cosmetics or small toiletries with you on your hand luggage, the limit or the limitation is 100 ml bottles and nothing bigger than that. If you have anything bigger than that, it doesn't matter what it is. Your expensive perfumes, unless you're buying it on the other side at duty free. And even then, they will give you like a duty free bag and like a duty free stamp or whatever, so you can take it with you. But if you coming in with it and you didn't buy it at duty free, then they will make you throw it. And I've seen this, like, and it breaks my heart, because to see people just throw in sealed items that haven't been used, but you have to throw it away. They will not allow you to take in anything that is over 100 ml. So if you are wanting to take in your lotions, your shower gel, your whatever that you're wanting to take in, and it's a liquid, decant it, take the bigger stuff and pack it in your big suitcase that you will pack it in, because if you take the small liquids, you will be forced to throw them or you can't board. And I think that's very important. It's a waste. It's just wasteful to have to throw away all of that. And I noticed that people honestly don't know that. So yeah. And